Now on Denver 7 News at 7 o'clock on Local 3, the lives of innocent children were stolen by a shooter in Texas. We're hearing from kids forced to run for cover in classrooms while parents wonder if their kids are among the victims.
We just hear all kinds of gunshots going off, like nonstop, like constantly gunshots. And then we're over here all scared on the ground, fearing for our lives.
I'm just confused and worried. I'm trying to find out where my baby's at.
And on Capitol Hill, lawmakers are acknowledging that this keeps happening. The question is, will they take action?
We are seeing way too many of these.
We have another Sandy Hook on our hands. What are we doing?
This morning, our team is learning more about the lives lost and how Colorado leaders are continuing the work in hopes of preventing this from happening again. Thanks for staying with us here on Local 3. I'm Nicole Brady.
And I'm Jessica Crawford.
Let's get over to Lisa now with a first look outside. Warming up a little, Lisa, after some stormy days.
Yeah, it's going to be nice. Lots of sunshine out there, too. A beautiful start to our Wednesday morning. You're going to find clear skies statewide early on and some drier conditions in store here for the next few days. We'll start to see more thunderstorms pop up here this weekend, but expecting a lot of sunshine and some dry conditions. Low to even mid-40s right now. Early this morning, it feels like 41 in Denver, but not much of a change. We had some 30s early on, but look at the warm-up. Should be at about 70 degrees in Boulder this afternoon. Evergreen, low 60s, Parker 66, and in Keensburg 73. So upper 60s to low 70s, more 50s for the mountains today. And so it gets warm out west, Grand Junction near 80. More pool-like weather just in time for the pools to open up this coming weekend. We'll take a closer look at that and when we could see some afternoon springtime storms here in just a few minutes.
And overall, the drive here in town is dry. It's drying out up in the high country. Had some overnight problems with snow up in the high country. That has all been resolved now. You can see I-70, I-76, which has been crawling all morning long. Heavy traffic on 270, I-25 to the north, and on the drive times you can see that here this morning. We also have a problem out to and from the airport. It's going to be on Tower Road, just south of 96. Already busy at 96, but at 88th Avenue, north of Pena, we do have a crash, and that's why you're seeing some pretty big backups in there. E-470 is probably your best alternate. You have to pay the tolls, of course, but you'll save yourself a whole bunch of time. Speaking of time, wasting it, a lot of it on I-25 up to the north and I-76 down to the south. It's really about 225. It's busy. It's also busy around Cherry Creek High School for the graduation that's happening here in just a bit. So you do expect extra traffic on Yosemite and Bellevue.
It's a scene we never want to see, but we've been seeing it too much in this country. At least 19 children and 2 teachers died in a shooting at Robb Elementary School in Uvalde, Texas.
And it came at what was supposed to be a joyous time, the end of the school year. Now the district there says the last 2 days have been canceled and they're offering grief counseling. And of course, this is being felt all around the country, including Colorado. This is our state capital where Governor Polis has ordered flags to be lowered today in memory of the victims.
This morning, we're learning more about these precious victims. Here is 10-year-old Anne-Marie Joe Garcia. She had just celebrated her birthday 2 weeks ago. That was according to her dad on Hell, who's in this photo holding her. He released a statement saying, "My little love is now flying high with the angels above. Please do not take a second for granted. Hug your family. Tell them I love you. I love you, Anne-Marie Joe." And here's a picture of 4th grader Xavier Lopez. His family says his mom had just attended an award ceremony for him. This was hours before the shooting. She did not know that it would be the last time that she'd see him. New this hour, we can report a 3rd child has been identified as 8-year-old Uzia Garcia. His family released this photo to the Associated Press. His grandpa said he was the sweetest little boy that he'd ever known. Ava Mireles was a 4th grade teacher at Robb Elementary. She'd been with the district for about 17 years. She's leaving behind a loving and supportive family, including a daughter who's in college. She had a zest for life, saying on the school's website that she loved running and hiking. Here's a look at one of the vigils that took place yesterday to remember the many shooting victims. Residents in Uvalde gathered last night. They formed a big circle and they said prayers for these victims. One woman there says that she helped kids evacuate after the shooting.
There was 2 classrooms that I was able to help out. The shooting started and the kids started to run everywhere. They didn't know where to go, and I was able to take kids into the funeral home because it's nearby Robb. And when I was able to help out some people, some kids.
And overnight, leaders across the world condemning the violence, including the president of Ukraine. The Pope said that his heart is broken over this shooting. The latest violence in Texas is the second deadliest school shooting in the U.S. This is only behind Sandy Hook back in 2012.
Officials are still working to learn more about the gunman. What we know so far is that he was killed by law enforcement inside the school. Within the last hour, law enforcement in Texas confirmed he had turned 18 just last week, and he bought the guns on Sunday, and they were legal purchases. Now, this may be a photo of the weapons. This photo was posted on an Instagram account connected to the shooter. It was posted just 3 days before the shooting. We're also learning that the shooter barricaded himself inside one classroom in the school and that all of the victims were in the same fourth grade classroom.
Speaking from the White House, President Joe Biden has called on lawmakers to do something to prevent more kids from dying and witnessing shootings in schools.
Why are we willing to live with this carnage? Why do we keep letting this happen? Where in God's name is our backbone to have the courage to deal with it and stand up to the lobbies? It's time to turn this pain into action for every parent, for every citizen in this country. We have to make it clear to every elected official in this country, it's time to act.
As we have seen before, his request unlikely to come to fruition. Lawmakers in the House have passed new gun laws, but they wouldn't survive the Senate. In response to the shooting, the Texas Attorney General called for teachers to be armed.
In light of what happened, we do want to share there will be additional police presence around Casey Middle School in Boulder today and tomorrow. In a letter to parents, the school's principal wrote there was a social media threat involving a student. It reportedly focused on the last day of school, which is Thursday. Again, there will be additional police. And we know Colorado has seen the horrors of mass shootings from Columbine to Aurora to Boulder. For decades now, leaders have tried to find answers to prevent this violence. Veronica Costa continues our coverage. Veronica, one of the most important things they say that anyone can do right now is speak up if they know something.
And that's exactly what this group is trying to help with. This Lakewood group, it specializes in targeted violence prevention. Mass shootings happen so frequently in the U.S. The members of the group have dedicated their entire lives to trying to stop them. We're talking about Nicoletti Flatter Associates. This is a Lakewood-based group. It's able to do this with the help of some federal grant money. Dr. Rachel Nielsen and other members of the group, they've been able to teach first responders, educators, and mental health providers across our state about the warning signs that oftentimes come before one of these violent attacks.
The idea that if we build awareness and competency, so awareness among everyone, competency among professionals about how to deal with these issues, when you see warning signs, when you do need to involve someone beyond yourself, then basically you build a system that is sustainable. You know, all educators, mental health providers, law enforcement would have training in this.
And Colorado has also used other tools for years now, tools like the Safe to Tell program. This is a program that allows students, parents, even community members to report threats and concerns, and that can be done completely anonymously. In an interview with Denver 7, Attorney General Phil Weiser urged that program's continuous use.
What we've learned again and again is when someone makes a threat that they're going to go into a school and shoot people, we can't ignore it.
And just yesterday, Attorney General Phil Weiser, he was at a Golden High School speaking with students and staff about a new program there, encouraging students to seek out those mental health resources. Weiser said he and his office plan to continue encouraging these exact kind of programs and hope they help prevent some acts of violence. In studio, I'm Veronica Costa, Denver 7.
Thank you, Veronica. We're all processing what happened in different ways right now, but we want to offer some help. Earlier this morning on Denver 7, we spoke with Dr. Mickey Burns, the Chief Clinical Officer with Judy's House. She says it's important to give yourself space for any emotions during this time and so that you can provide stability and safety for your children and others in your life as well.
And so I think for us as adults, we need to make sure that we have our own social safety support network ready, that we have individuals who we can go to and talk to process the anger, sadness, and fear, so that when we sit down with our children and share what we're feeling, we can put it in a way that still lets them know that we're going to be able to protect them and be there and care for them and really help create safety in our community here.
And if you want additional resources on how to talk with your kids about all of this, Children's Hospital Colorado has a guide to help your kids cope. They recommend increasing how and when you're available to your child, both physically and emotionally, decreasing or setting limits on access to social media. Also, try to display and promote stability. Plus, be open to your child's fears, avoid minimizing or jumping to problem solving, and be prepared for questions. But don't feel like you need to have all the answers. Just do your best to explain the event and assure them that they're safe. We'll keep you up to date on the latest from Texas on the denverchannel.com and on the Denver 7 Plus app on your streaming device.
Well, the seasons are changing in Colorado. It's time for rafting now. We'll look at the conditions and how to plan a trip that works for your adventure level.
An Olympic gold medalist is reaching new heights.
I'm trying not to think about it too much. I'm gonna wait until the very last possible moment to get nervous.
Aaron Jackson is hitching a ride with the Thunderbirds ahead of their big performance at the Air Force Academy graduation.